a bit peculiar, his hatred of ferrets and his predilection for cross-dressing notwithstanding his latest incarnation, is almost cartoonish in its defense of the truly indefensible. Not to mention his ability to humiliate himself on a colossal fucking scale between the farting, the dripping face, the drunken television appearances, and his absurd Borat encounter where he was caught literally red-handed in pre-masturbation like some pervy panty sniffer out on the prowl.
Okay. Hi, I'm Beth.
And I'm Stainy.
And you're listening to Mixed Politics. Welcome to episode
awesome.
12.
Wow. We're
So
almost
Stainy,
teenagers.
I know,
One
almost
more and
teenagers.
it's 13.
One more week. So I see that you're drinking something. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking tried and true. Actually, it's very cheap. I'm not even gonna front. This bottle is like $9. It's Bacardi Black
Okay.
and vanilla Coke. Had a really rough week, a really rough past 7 days or whatever. My emotions are all over the place. A lot of awesome things happen. A lot of terrible things happen. So I'm kind of just like, I'm like, you know what? Just go with tried and
Wow.
true. Don't do any crazy things that'll get you hungover tomorrow because I got work tomorrow. So, what are you
Same.
drinking?
Well, I am kind of in the same boat as you. I'm sorry to hear that's been a rough week for you. It's been a rough day for me, actually. So I am not drinking alcohol tonight. I know that sounds lame, but it's for my health. I need to take a break from the alcohol. I am having surgery a week from tomorrow. I will not go into the details, but I'm kind of trying to process that in my brain, getting myself ready for, a traumatic experience. Because regardless what everybody's going to say, any surgery is trauma to your body. So I need to get myself prepared for that and center myself and get zen. So I'm not doing the alcohol this week or next week, but I will still make sure we're having a good time because I don't need alcohol to have some fun.
And
But,
I'll drink for both of us because
Yes,
you don't
please.
need shoes to run, but it makes it much easier.
Yeah, that's true. We are going to have fun tonight because
All right. What are we talking about, Beth?
what the fuck is going on with Rudy Giuliani? This guy's in major, major trouble.
Wow.
Yes.
I saw a meme recently that said like the 6 stages of toast, and it was just like, lightly kind of burnt, whatever. Then it like the 5th one was like Matt Gaetz, and then the 6th one was Rudy Giuliani, and I'm like, holy shit,
That is so accurate.
so toast.
We're going to go into some details, but I just want to give a high level overview right now to kick off the episode that this guy is under investigation for his involvement in some conversations with Ukrainian officials, whether they gave him damaging information about then presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
Yeah.
Major question is whether Rudy Giuliani was properly disclosing his position in those conversations. So, so we're going to dive into the details. Do you want me to kick it off with the, Rudy history to set the stage for us? Or
I was about to ask you that. Tell you what. Tell us about who is Rudy Giuliani. Let's start there.
Okay. So Rudy Giuliani, he's often been referred to as America's mayor because of his seemingly comforting response to the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon.
Yeah.
He's the former mayor of New York City, former U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. He was also a failed candidate for the New York Senate race in 2000, which Hillary Clinton won, and also a failed presidential candidate in 2012. Okay. But he's now officially the winner of a 2021 Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actor, playing himself in the recent Borat movie. So he's not a complete failure. He did win an award for being an ass.
He won an award for worst. I don't know if that's not failing.
Worst supporting actor playing himself. If that isn't
is that the one where he like unzipped himself because he was getting ready to like bone Borat's real daughter?
Tucking in his shirt, Stainy. Come on. He was
Who the
tucking
fuck tucks in their shirt, laying flat on their back in a bed in a hotel room? A creepy. I don't want to start like this is a creepy old man, but like, come on, dude. Bruh.
Yeah, he's definitely
He's 76 years old. If I'm 76 and some 22-year-old is just like, oh yeah, Stainy, you're hot, whatever, I'd be like, okay, FBI, what the fuck do you want?
Right, exactly.
Jesus.
So I do have to say some funny things about Giuliani when he was kind of coming up into his own in the political atmosphere. So when he ran for these political races back, presidential races and all that kind of stuff, and mayor, he ran as a liberal Republican. So even
Ooh.
his mom said about him that he's not a conservative. She said he cares too much about the poor to be a conservative.
Sorry. I've been drinking liberal Republican. What the fuck is that? What is that?
So while he was mayor of New York City, he granted recognition of same-sex partners. That was definitely not a Republican Party position at the time.
Well, he got to.
This was in the 90s.
That's politics. That's New York. Everything was popping off in New York, San Francisco.
Right, exactly. And he also gave equal work and financial and medical benefits to same-sex partners. It was kind of unheard of at the time, back in the 90s. But I mean, now it's kind of commonplace that people give equal treatment to same-sex partners. And now we have marriage equality. But back then it was not a Republican position to do that. And he did. So
taboo.
It was very taboo. So even his mom says about him that he's not a conservative. But he's been a Republican since the 1980s. Kind of when Reagan came along, he jumped on the Republican bandwagon to get a job. Some notable things about his childhood, though. His father did time in jail for robbery. And then after he got out of jail, he started working for the mob. He was an enforcer for a family member's loan shark business and gambling hustles.
Wait, he did serious time too, because he spent time in Sing Sing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he was. Oh my God. And he robbed a milkman.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is so lame. Like,
I know.
Milkmen didn't have money. They came in and dropped off the milk that you already paid for. That is so
he must have been really hard up, right?
Yeah. Like, that's like you trying to rob like the fucking postman.
Uh-huh.
What you gonna get? Letters?
Right.
Wow.
So yeah, that's kind of very brief background of Rudy Giuliani. He's most well known about being America's mayor, and I think that's what a lot of people are kind of caught up in right now when they're thinking about Rudy Giuliani. They have this soft spot in their heart for him because of 9/11. Yeah. But we're here to break that up and show you what Rudy really is. So I do want to talk at some point about him as the U.S. Attorney for Southern District of New York, but I want to wait until we talk about the FBI raid. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Ukraine, Stainy? Because I know you've done a lot of research on this. Why don't you kind of delve into?
I'm like the foreigner who knows foreign stuff.
Yes, Jesus I guess Christ. So. But I could go into this stuff, but you've done so much research. I don't want to take that away from you. So why don't you talk about Ukraine, set the stage for us, and then I'm going to bring it back to the FBI raid that's related to this. So kick this off.
So every time since the first Trump impeachment that the Ukraine has been brought up, Rudy Giuliani's name and is just plastered all over that. That's his thing. Rudy Giuliani got more friends and knows more people in the Ukraine than any of you listening to this right now. And I don't know how. But way back when Obama was president, Joe Biden went to a forum in the Ukraine because they were speaking about sending government aid, U.S. government aid to the Ukraine. And Joe Biden, in a very now infamous or famous speech, had said that he's not going to provide, or he's not going to sign off on, or President Obama is not going to sign off on sending the aid to Ukraine unless Ukraine curbs their corruption situation problem. And this was like a known thing back in the Obama presidency and before, ever since the USSR broke up. Ukraine was corrupt.
About Ukraine. Yeah.
And exactly. It's not like we're trying to badmouth Ukraine. It's like, Jamaica grows sugar cane and has bauxite. Ukraine has corruption.
That's right.
Sky's blue, sun is warm. Whatever.
New York has prostitutes. I mean, that's just the way it is. You just know what you're going to get.
This is also okay. This is true. Yeah, they do. Okay, so when he made the statement, apparently it upset the lead country prosecutor at the time, because his whole thing was to hide corruption for the government and protect the president, to make sure like the world says that, Ukraine wasn't corrupt or whatever. So when Biden was just like, listen, we're not sending any aid unless you show us proof that you're getting on top of this corruption issue, the lead prosecutor in Ukraine at the time, he took issue with that, and he was very upset about what Biden had said. And so they became sort of enemies at the time. And his last name is Shokin, Shokin. And that was the start of Rudy Giuliani's involvement with Ukraine. Because when that happened, almost immediately after, the ambassador from the US to the Ukraine, her name is Marie Yovanovitch.
Mm-hmm.
She came under fire immediately by Rudy Giuliani and his cohorts saying that this person is corrupt too. So it's like, why are you calling Ukraine corrupt when you sent us a corrupt ambassador? And
it's almost like everybody's pointing fingers, like, you're corrupt. No,
exactly.
You're corrupt. No, you're corrupt.
Exactly. And so she was actually reporting to the US, to the Department of Justice, to the State Department, that, hey, the corrupt people here start with this prosecutor, Shokin, and the president. So if we're going to deal with any form of corruption and rooting out corruption, we got to root out this guy and his president and his friends.
Pick him up and yank him out.
Exactly. And so when Trump became president, Rudy Giuliani had contacted this man, Shokin, and apparently he told Rudy that he has information on Hunter Biden and corruption with Hunter Biden and the company that he was working for, Burisma. And so he was willing to give Rudy Giuliani all of this corruption information.
And tying it into between Trump and Giuliani was that Giuliani, being an attorney, he was Trump's personal attorney during this time.
Not just attorney, confidant, like they were buddies.
Sure, but his official title was personal attorney to President Trump. That's how those two got involved.
And this was after Michael Cohen got the ouster.
Yes.
Right. So it's a relationship of convenience.
Yes.
Yeah. So when all of that happened, Shokin was like, listen, I'll get you this information that you need on Hunter Biden to tie it into Joe Biden, who probably will be running for president, and you can use this against him, this whole Burisma, Hunter Biden, possible corruption thing. But if you want this information, you got to get this ambassador off my back. And he told that to Rudy Giuliani, and Rudy Giuliani was just like, I got it. So Rudy Giuliani hooks up with his friends, Lev Parnas or whatever, and decides we're going to get Marie Yovanovitch, who's the ambassador to the Ukraine, fired because she's trying to get the lead prosecutor fired.
Right.
And so back to what you were saying, everybody's pointing fingers. It's like, it's a fucking Mexican standoff with like 4 people. It's just like, hey, don't shoot. So the funny thing is though, so Trump becomes president, and one of the first things he does is fire Maria Yovanovitch, which is a part, like, if you remember, that's a huge part of the first impeachment. Like, why did you fire this woman that was just doing her job?
It was, everybody was looking at this and saying, well, I shouldn't say everybody. People who were paying attention were looking at this and saying, ooh, that's transparently firing her because she was pointing fingers at the
prosecutor.
Yes. So the people in the know were like, ooh, yeah, this is not good.
Let's go back to this prosecutor, Shokin, right? So he's a corrupt guy. Apparently his nickname in Ukraine is the keeper of the old guard, which means he protects corrupt old officials. That's his nickname. I don't know what it would be in Ukrainian or whatever they speak, maybe even Russian, but that's his nickname in translation.
That's right.
And back in 2019, Rudy Giuliani was literally lobbying for this guy to get a visa to come to the US so that they could have a meeting and he could disclose, I don't know, things or whatever.
Whatever he
And the
had.
State Department denied the visa request. So he filled out an application just like you would if you were a foreigner trying to come here for vacation or business or entertainment or whatever. Filled out an application for a visa. And the State Department looked at it and was just like, this motherfucker is corrupt as shit. Fuck no. And then when they did that, Rudy Giuliani got on the phone with various people in the State Department saying, hey, that's my guy. That's my buddy. You got to let him in. What's the problem with this guy coming in? And the State Department said no. I want to say the Justice Department said no. And apparently the FBI and the DOJ had wiretapped, loose term wiretap in the realm that we are now. Rudy Giuliani's iCloud and got like physical visual evidence of him talking to Lev Parnas, his cohort from the Ukraine, saying that don't worry, we're gonna get this guy the visa. I've got number one on it. End of quote. Number one meaning President Trump. That means if we can get Trump to call in this favor, we can get this guy a visa. He's gonna come over, spill some beans. Hunter Biden's gonna go down, and then Joe Biden with him, and that's the whole big plan. Apparently,
and the iCloud part of it is key to this.
Yeah.
Let me just plant this here, and then we'll come back to it later. But if they know what's on the iCloud, and the FBI comes in and seizes all of his technical devices, electronic devices, and stuff that's on the iCloud is not on one of those devices, wouldn't that mean he's got a burner phone somewhere that he's not handing over?
It's possible, but here's the thing. You're thinking like a millennial, which is cool. So am I. You got to remember that you're dealing with a fucking boomer that puts like Beijing in his head. You know, like he doesn't understand how this works. He has no fucking clue. He's one of those boomers that take one of those weird Facebook fucking pictures, like with up his nostrils. He doesn't know how this works.
So there you go. That's part of this, is that he doesn't understand how this works.
Doesn't understand how this works. So they've got him saying to Lev Parnas that I got number one on it. Apparently Trump tried to get this guy a visa, and the State Department was just like, no, this guy is like on top of our corruption list. Like if we have a list of people from the Ukraine that we are never giving a visa to, he's number two. Number one would be the ex-president.
Yeah.
Petro, whatever his name is. Right.
Yeah.
So like I said before, Rudy Giuliani got more friends in the Ukraine and got more corruption issues with the Ukraine than the average person listening to this. I know one girl from Ukraine that I went to college with. I know her last name is Gavrichkova, and I had lots of great conversations with her. She wasn't corrupt, but that's the one person I know. How many people do you know from the Ukraine?
I don't think I know any. I mean, I really don't.
Fucking Rudy Giuliani knows like 80 people.
Yeah, so it's a little unusual how many people he knows there.
What happened with that FBI raid that just I think it happened 2 weeks ago? Yes,
somewhere around 2 weeks ago. So he had his home raided, and the FBI came in, took electronic devices, and they had a search warrant that was specific to the things related to the Ukraine scandal and the first impeachment of President Trump. I want to give a little bit of background about how these things work, though, because I think this is key to understanding why Rudy is doing what he's doing today, being on television all day long, talking about how corrupt this is. So when Rudy Giuliani was U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, I want to talk about what that means. The Justice Department in Washington, D.C., who is headed by the Attorney General, now Merrick Garland, that Justice Department is referred to as Main Justice. So people in legal spheres know that Main Justice means Washington, D.C., Merrick Garland.
Okay.
And it's because it's a centralized point of contact for the entire country. Each state is divided into districts. So New York has 3, which is where the Southern District of New York comes from. And each district has their own mini justice court, which approves or declines search warrants. that are requested by the district. So if the Southern District requests a search warrant to be granted, they have to take it to that district court. However, in this case, it needs to go through the Attorney General at Main Justice first. So when Rudy Giuliani was in the Southern District of New York, he was the one representing the district, but he reported to the Attorney General at Main Justice. So when Rudy was U.S. Attorney from 1983 to 1988, it meant that he was the federal attorney representing Southern District, but he reported to the Attorney General in Washington, D.C., which at the time was Edwin Meese under the Reagan administration. I have to note that Edwin Meese resigned from his post as Attorney General because he was caught in a scandal involving a company called WedTech, which was forging documents, pretending it was controlled by a person of color in order to get priority on government contracts that were supposed to be given to minority-owned businesses. So the Attorney General that was implicated in forgery and theft was Rudy Giuliani's boss when he worked at the Southern District of New York. So he kind of comes from a background of corruption.
Christ.
Right?
That is the same bullshit as, oh, a black man raped me. He went that way. And all the fucking cops in Alabama just goes that way and finds some black man. Holy shit. That was happening in Southern District?
That was that was happening at the Main Justice in Washington, D.C., but that was his boss. So when he was in Southern District, his boss was caught up in a scandal of forgery and theft related to minority-owned businesses not getting the money that they were supposed to because it was going to some white man who was pretending to be a person of color.
Yeah.
He ended up resigning. So in order for a Southern District to get a search warrant to raid somebody's home, they have to first request permission from the Attorney General at Main Justice. So today that would be Merrick Garland. So the FBI raid that happened, Rudy keeps saying that this is so corrupt because they don't have any evidence. Well, in order for them to get this search warrant approved, they had to first go through the Attorney General, Merrick Garland. They had to get the approval and at minimum have hard evidence to show that their suspicion that a crime was committed was substantiated and credible. And they got the green light from the Attorney General, and then they had to go back to the Southern District Court, present those same findings in front of the federal judge, and then they still had to prove probable cause of a crime having been committed. And then that federal judge would either approve or deny the search warrant. In this case, he approved it. But do you see how many safeguards are in place here? That it's not like you
can't just go ask for a warrant and get one because you feel like it.
Exactly.
And he on his Rudy Giuliani, it's so funny that we're all in the same realm. Rudy Giuliani has a fucking podcast. He does.
And he calls it a radio show, by the way.
He calls it a radio show. So he has a podcast just like we do. And he goes on there all the time. And all he does on the podcast is spew evidence against him.
Yes.
Like, and give fodder for random comedians. And I think it's fucking hilarious. But
it is.
He incriminates himself all the time. So he'll go on. I don't remember what program it was, maybe 2 weeks ago, where he was really incensed. And he was just like, they came and they banged on my door, but I cooperated with them and they were treated me respectfully. And this is like, dude, you're a lawyer. You've been a lawyer since before I was born. You know, if the fucking Southern District of New York got a warrant to raid your place, you fucked up.
But here's the thing, Stainy.
You fucked up.
This is going to have to become our tagline because we've said it on so many episodes, and I'm going to say it here again. Rudy is not stupid. He just thinks that everybody else
listening to him is stupid.
Yes, he thinks, because that's exactly what people are saying. Well, he's an attorney. He would know not to lie. Are you fucking kidding me? He's saying this because he knows that his listeners to his radio show or his podcast don't know enough. So Rudy's a lawyer, and not just that, he was a lawyer for the president of the United States. So the burden of proof for the FBI is way above what an average person would be. It's substantial. And they cleared that with the Attorney General, and they cleared it with this federal judge in the Southern District of New York. So he's complaining that these people are being flippant about the search warrant, and they're just tossing around like those paper towel rolls when Trump was in Puerto Rico after the hurricane. He's just like, yeah, they're not just giving out search warrants like that. like Trump was flipping those paper towels.
They got to make sure that it's by the book, because if it's not, then that's a lawsuit against them.
Yes.
And they don't, the Southern District of New York don't get lawsuits against them, because they fucking walk that line. I was saying to you prior to the podcast that their nickname is the Sovereign District of New York, that they operate within the realm of fucking awesome. Like you want your case tried in Oklahoma or Colorado or Wyoming. You do not want it tried in the if you find out that you have to go to court in the Southern District of New York, just be honest. Just go to jail. Just take the time. Take the if they offer you a plea deal, just fucking take it. These guys took down the Lucases, the Gottis, the fucking they fucking took down the Lufthansa heist.
That's right. And so I want to talk a little I want to talk a little bit about because what you're describing right now is what Rudy Giuliani helped to build. He built that. He gave the reputation that nobody's coming out alive from SDNY. So let me give a brief synopsis of what Rudy was known for, because this is key to what he's doing right now. When he was the U.S. attorney, he basically defined the perp walk. That was what he was known for. Yeah. He would parade perpetrators in front of cameras, and he would arrest them publicly. And there were multiple, I can't even remember what the final count was, but there were dozens and dozens of cases in which he would publicly have somebody arrested. Even a stock trader that was under investigation, arrest him on the floor in front of all of his colleagues. In the bullpen, have him arrested, do the perp walk, everybody sees him getting arrested. And then later, the charges would be dropped for lack of evidence, because Rudy knew that the court of public opinion was so much worse than an actual court of law. So he was notorious. Because nobody
would hire that person again. Their life is ruined
he destroyed
by the
reputation.
The negative publicity.
If he wanted to get rid of somebody, if he wanted to destroy somebody, all he would do is throw the accusation out there. And if he had the power, which often he did, he would arrest that person and say, go get him, go arrest him, knowing that he didn't have enough evidence. But it doesn't matter at that point. When you destroy the reputation, the first impression in people's minds when you see somebody arrested is that person's guilty. Yeah. And we try to deny that. Everybody's like, oh, innocent until proven guilty. We all know when we see somebody in handcuffs, we automatically assume that person did something wrong. That's what Rudy knew. And so he would have people publicly arrested and then drop the charges later for lack of evidence. He never had any evidence enough to have them arrested, but he did it anyway. That was what he was known for at SDNY. Wow. Yep, exactly.
He was the henchman of the SDNY.
Mm-hmm. And so when the search warrant was when they knocked on his door, Rudy's been saying, as you mentioned, on his we'll just say when he's got the microphone in front of his face, he says, "Oh, they took my stuff," and then turned right back around and said, "Oh, well, they took my stuff, but they didn't take Hunter's stuff." Can I highlight for a second the sheer corruption that's rolling off Rudy's tongue, suggesting that, and because he knows how this works, but he's suggesting that the FBI should take somebody else's evidence that is completely unrelated to his own alleged crimes. And there's so many morons out there cheering him on, saying, oh, yeah, the FBI is so corrupt. They refuse to take the evidence that was right there in front of them. They don't want it to be found. But listen to yourself. If you're one of those people that's saying, yeah, Rudy's right, listen to yourself. The FBI doesn't, and they should never take devices or evidence that's unrelated to the investigation for which they obtained a search warrant.
You know what's absolutely funny about what you just said? The name of his podcast is Common Sense.
Oh my God. There is no common sense. He's championing corruption from that microphone. It's crazy to me.
Here's the thing. Like, I don't know if our listeners know or if the general public knows. Let's say the police get a search warrant to come and raid your place for drugs. Like, they're specific too. They're looking for like cocaine, heroin, prescription pills, maybe weed or whatever. When they fucking knock down your door, if there's like a no-knock search warrant, they fucking knock down your door and they run in. Rah, 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 rah. You fucking take left, you take right, whatever, whatever, and they get in. The only thing they can leave with is drugs.
Uh-huh.
If you had a table full of fucking guns, AK-47s, fucking Rugers, fucking Glocks 9s, whatever, and it's just all laid out, the warrant says we're allowed to take drugs. So they're gonna have to go back to the DA or the judge and get a warrant and then come back again for the guns.
Yep.
They can't touch the guns because the warrants are very specific. So if the warrant says go in there and take Rudy Giuliani's fucking shit, take his computer, take his laptop or whatever, when they pop open a laptop and it says and you fucking, log in, the Windows logo comes up and whatever, and it says Hunter R. Biden, we can't take this one. This don't belong to Rudy Giuliani. We're going to leave it right here.
Very corrupt of him to even suggest that they should. But again, he's not stupid. He thinks his listeners are.
Yes. Because he knows. He's ordered search warrants before. He knows. Yes. He fucking knows. But he thinks that's the thing about politicians and because he was a politician. He's a mayor. So politicians in America think you're stupid. They do. Yeah, they think, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, independent, fucking libertarian, right, left, whatever. If you're talking to, I promise you, if I were to have a conversation with AOC right now, at some point, maybe for even 5 seconds, she'd think, I can get one over on this guy because he's dumb.
Yep.
That's how they, it's a fraternity. They all think you're fucking dumb. And the only defense you have against that is to not be fucking dumb. Educate yourself. Read. Ask questions. Probe. But not to the point where you're going down conspiracy theory rabbit holes.
Yes.
Like, the shit that you find, make sure that is backed up by fact. Fact check your own shit. So if you were to talk to a politician, and some of them are popular at being good at this. Lindsey Graham is good at this. He'll twist every word in the book just to make. Ted Cruz is good at this. Kevin McCarthy is good at this. And they switch sides. They flip-flop. Whatever is politically expedient because they think you don't know. But if you know, and you know, how does that saying go? He who knows and knows he knows, he's a wise man. Seek him. Learned that in the third grade.
There you go. I like that. And so bringing this back to Rudy's reputation at SDNY, you all right there, bud?
That's a whole lot of rum.
Okay.
Go on.
Right. So while he was U.S. Attorney for SDNY, as I said, he had a reputation for doing the perp walk, arresting people with not enough evidence, and then later dropping the charges for lack of evidence. That's what he's doing with Hunter Biden's laptop. And that's why he keeps pushing this notion out there that, the FBI is not taking it because they're corrupt. I think that he doesn't even have the laptop hard drive. He never did, because Newsmax, he did an interview within the last couple of weeks, and somebody on Newsmax said to him, hey, so if you have exculpatory evidence on this hard drive, why don't you just release it? We'd love to see it.
Put it on Twitter.
Right. And he hasn't. Everybody's asking him for this. Newsmax asked him for it. OAN asked him for it. Fox News asked him for it. CNN asked him for it. Every time somebody asks him for it, he responds with, well, if I could find a news source that's not biased, then I would release it. And it's like, okay, so first of all, you're on Newsmax saying that to Newsmax. Yeah. That's kind of a slap in the face to them because they would love to have that. But I think the reason he's not releasing is because he doesn't actually have it. Or if he has something, it's probably not even Hunter Biden's. It could be some Russian dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but that's exactly what he's doing. He's at SDNY. He would throw the allegations out there, arrest the person with no evidence, implant it into somebody's brain that this person's guilty, and you see it with your own eyes, you hear it, and it sinks in. And then he doesn't even have to have evidence.
Yeah.
Because it'll just like them dropping charges later, there's no evidence, but that person in the court of public opinion, everybody already thinks that they're guilty. That's what he's trying to do. He's never going to release this laptop even if he
can I give you a quick quote Let me give you a quick quote from his podcast.
Please do.
Like the podcast that he published right after he got his place raided. The I want to say the podcast was named My Apartment Was Illegally Raided, which is hilarious again because of all of the things that you just outlined that they have to go through to get a raid approved. So the podcast after was named My Apartment Was Illegally Raided. This could happen to you. And like one of the things he said immediately in the podcast was the warrant was intended to destroy my reputation, just like they want to destroy my life, because I am the repository of much more incriminating evidence about Joe Biden than probably anybody on the planet. And I am unwilling to keep my mouth shut about it. And for that, they really want to put me in jail. And it's like, going back to what you said, if you're unwilling to keep your mouth shut about it, open your fucking mouth.
Right. Show us what you got.
Tell us what you got.
Say it with your full chest. He ain't doing it because he's got nothing.
And that's the thing. Like, I hear the talking points all the time with conservatives versus, liberals or whatever. And it's just like, oh, Hunter Biden, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just like, hey, just so you know, if Hunter Biden did some foul shit, lock him up.
Yeah, exactly. I'm all for it.
Fuck. Hunter Biden don't mean shit to me. Lock him up for 100 fucking years. But what I want you to do prior to that is just present the fucking evidence. Exactly. Otherwise, can we talk about fucking The Boys or Vikings or Game of Thrones? Because this conversation is pointless if you're not going to present any goddamn evidence.
Right. It's always suspicious when a person says, I got it. It's right over here. Okay, show it to me. No. I can't show it to you because no. That's so... Okay, you got nothing.
This seems to be fucking Rudy Giuliani's playbook, though. Because when you go back a few months ago to the whole widespread voter fraud and whatever, and it's just like, okay, Giuliani, we hear you. Let's go further. We believe you. Now, show us evidence.
I've still never seen any evidence.
All we got was him fucking standing in front of the Four Seasons landscaping.
Now tell me, how did that... You have to explain, how did this happen to go to a fucking landscaping company?
I think it's hilarious, right? When it all went down, I was actually like watching it unfold live, whether through media or Twitter or the news or whatever.
Yeah.
Back when Trump was still president, we're still working with the election and stuff. Just right after the election, they called a massive press conference in Philadelphia because apparently there was widespread voter fraud in Pennsylvania and Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody in the Trump staff or in his, aides or whatever, should have called the Four Seasons.
The actual Four Seasons Hotel, right?
The Four Seasons Hotel, which I've never stayed at. That shit just sounds too swanky for me. I probably could afford to stay there, but in my mind, I don't think I could afford to stay there. Just because of all the people who I've heard stayed there, I'm like, that ain't my tax bracket.
It's not my people there.
It's not my people, right? So apparently somebody called and tried to book a press conference at the Four Seasons. But instead of the Four Seasons, what they called was Four Seasons Landscaping. And no.
I just can't. It never stops being funny.
No, hold on. No, here's the funny thing, right? I'll just disclose on this podcast because it's a personal podcast, so I'll disclose. One of the businesses I own is a landscaping business. So if the president of the United States called me and said, hey, or a representative from the president of the United States called me and says, hey, I'm calling from the White House, et cetera, we would like to have a press conference at your place, whatever. My immediate answer would be, yes, of course. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to make sure the place is fucking presentable, nice, clean. I'm going to put a fucking banner up. Tell me what you want, cuz I'm getting it. Because if the president or a representative from the United or a representative of the president of the United States is speaking on my property, on my business, at my place of, work,
Sure.
that's nationwide publicity for me. So I'm never saying no, regardless if I support the president or not. The White House wants to have a press conference on my soil, on my shit. So I'm not gonna knock those people at the Four Seasons Landscaping for accepting this, because
Sure.
they sure as fuck did with the quickness. They were just like, wait, can we confirm that the White House is calling us to they gonna have a press? Okay, yes. And so immediately, as the owner of the business, I would call every single person I could find on hand. Clean this motherfucker. Fucking power wash it. Fucking, blow this shit away. I don't want to see a leaf out of place, because the White House is coming here to have a press conference. And so they did. And so Rudy Giuliani shows up to this address that has been given to him, and I'm sure he's hopping out of his fucking Lincoln Town car or whatever, and he's just like, what is this the right place? Because I thought we're at the Four Seasons Hotel. And it's like, oh no, it's Four Seasons Landscaping. But at this point, if you read through what had happened, it was too late to go try to like fix the problem. So it's just like, all right, put up the podium in front of this fucking garage, and we're gonna have this speech about voter fraud and whatever, and sell this big lie to the country about voter fraud. And I think it's hilarious because right across the street from the Four Seasons Landscaping was a crematorium.
Where Rudy's career officially died.
It was a crematorium. And then to the right of this fucking Four Seasons Landscaping was an adult store where they sell fucking double-sided dildos and blow-up dolls.
It's just the whole thing. It's poetic justice, right?
It couldn't have been better. I couldn't.
I know.
If I were to think of two businesses to just completely fuck this whole thing, I couldn't have come up with that myself. Like, what would I like? I would have chosen like a fucking garbage landfill and maybe like a waste processing plant or some shit. But like crematorium and adult store,
yeah,
right next to where you're reporting at the landscaping fucking place.
Right.
And Rudy, I guess, I don't know if it was because of the circumstance or whatever, he was just like, okay, fuck it, we got to do it, and we're doing it here, and we're doing it live.
Mm-hmm. We're doing it live.
And he sat there.
We're doing it live.
Yeah, he sat there and gave his spiel. There's voter fraud. We're gonna recount. We're gonna take this to the courts and whatever. And he's literally standing in front of a garage that's full of tractors and rakes and hoes and garden tools and whatever. And I think
it never stops being funny.
Oh my God. I don't understand how you go from being the all-star of the Southern District of NY plus America's mayor to being the guy who is selling Trump's lies in front of the Four Seasons Landscaping across the street from the crematorium next to the glory holes.
Well, you know how you end up there? When you have no standards, when you're always chasing something that gives you power or prestige, but you have no standards, eventually you'll end up in front of the adult store in the crematorium. Yep.
The word on the street and also in the press is that Trump is refusing to pay this man a penny for all of his suffering of embarrassment, for all of his legal troubles.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys have seen the videos of the one random blonde that he had in front of the magistrate, and she was just like, she was going off, and she was just like, "You don't understand. There's a lot of voter fraud, and I can prove it. Whatever." And it got to the point where Rudy himself was just like, "All right, lady, just hold on, just tone it down just a little bit."
Well, in between farting, in between farting, he would reach over and calm her down.
If Rudy Giuliani is telling you to fucking tone it down, then we're off the cliff. We're
right,
off the
exactly.
fucking cliff. We're off. We're lemmings and we've jumped off. And we're like, some people live on the edge. These motherfuckers live falling. Because
right? That's brilliant.
I don't understand. Yes. I don't understand.
But is anybody really surprised that Trump's not going to pay him? He pays nobody.
It was Michael Cohen, who I read about, that's confirming. He's just like, if you think that when the date of required payment has come and you haven't received payment, that you're going to receive payment some later day from Trump, then you're a fucking idiot. You're never getting paid. And I'm just like, dude, you're 76 years old. You're a fucking boomer. You had a wonderful career as a prosecutor, as a star prosecutor, as a mayor, as, you know, a TV analyst, pundit, whatever. Why wouldn't you just, and he's already got money. He's already got money. Rudy ain't broke. He doesn't need money.
He will be soon, though.
You know, he will be soon with all these legal fees.
Right.
Prior to amassing all of these fees, he could vacation anytime he want in France, in Saint-Tropez, in fucking wherever. Why didn't you go do this? You're 76 years old. I can't imagine Beth being 76 years old, you being 76 years old, and you're just like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tie myself legally to the worst president in the United States history, and then just ride that motherfucker to the sunset, whether I fucking win or not. I'm in it for the long haul. Like, even there's no point where Rudy's just like, all right, man, I'm fucking in too deep. I'm out.
I mean, what was the example that he had for himself?
Yeah.
And then, so I don't think it should be a surprise that a person who chases power is eventually going to find himself in trouble at this age. And maybe that's the difference between us and a person like Rudy. You know, we don't chase power. We want to make sure that we have enough to build a comfortable home and support our family and our friends. Even with us doing this podcast, it's not to become famous. We're here to educate people. That's our goal.
I don't know about you, Beth, but I want to be rich as fuck. I'm joking.
Not me. But I think that people who chase power and prestige eventually end up either finding a way out of it to say, okay, I'm done, I'm good, I'm just going to chill, I'm going to retire and live out the rest of my life. Or they don't realize how far they have gotten into this, and they just keep digging. Like you said, they're way too prideful.
Get out of this. He can't.
He can't. He's either going to lose all of his money, because yes, he did amass a lot of wealth, but it's being drained, or he's going to go to jail. Exactly. There's no way out of this that he comes out on top. And the thing is,
it's the weird thing about it is it's voluntary.
Yes,
it's not like he was a part of the Trump cabinet, or he was a part of the Trump, you know, like he literally sought this out. Like after Michael Cohen got indicted and went to prison for lying and covering up for Trump and whatever, and wrote his book and all that stuff, Trump was on a search for a new legal representation. Of all the hundreds of thousands of lawyers across the country, young, old, seasoned, whatever, past judges, past DOJ representative, it was Rudy fucking Giuliani who raised his hand. I will do it. It's like, why? You need money? What, you need fame? You're already Rudy fucking Giuliani. Just go home, buy a boat.
Yeah. Well, it's because they're both from New York City. He knew who Trump was. He knew that Trump was corrupt, and he could be corrupt right along with him. And he thought he could just breeze on by and just get a whole bunch of new. No, he didn't. He underestimated the fact that Trump will never stand up for anybody else. He will throw you under the bus. He will throw his own children under the bus. to save his own ass. That's where Rudy underestimated him. But I want to make one important point about Rudy, because I think we've established that he has a past of certain levels of corruption. Now he's kind of caught up on it himself. But I want to lay out what this means for our justice system right now. So for years, Black people, Black men and women have said that our justice system is corruptible. It's largely administering justice unfairly, inequitably. It's very biased. But for years, the white community at large and white men and women in power specifically have said, no way, no, it's not. No, you just don't like the outcome. So if you follow the law, you'll be fine. If you're complaining about the justice system, you just don't like the fact that you got put in jail or whatever. Yeah. Innocent people don't get arrested for no reason. There has to be probable cause. But remember what we said, that Rudy used to arrest people for show and then drop the charges for lack of evidence. Far too many people wouldn't listen to what communities of color were saying about Justice Maine in Washington, D.C., the district attorneys or the local police departments. And now Rudy claims he's fallen victim to exactly what he perpetrated on others for so many years. And now
he was the one
he's saying it's unfair. He was the one who did it. So this has now come full circle for him. He's claiming to be a victim of the very justice system that he helped to administer.
I don't feel sorry for him, because this is typically chickens coming home to roost. Like exactly. At some point, I think I've said it on this podcast before. When you're digging a hole for someone, quote unquote, dig two.
Dig two.
One for that person and one for you. Because Rudy is going down. Rudy's going down. Matt Gaetz is going down. Like, the long arm of the law is like, here's the thing. The long arm of the law won't reach you if you're a multi-billionaire in America. That's just fact.
Right. It is.
Rudy is not a multi-billionaire.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. He was never a billionaire.
Well, he never was. But even if he claimed, he ain't anymore, because all of his money is going to these legal fees.
And like, I don't understand. Like I said, it's so weird to me, because I'll be 40 next year, and I'm really, really looking forward to it, where I can say whatever the fuck I want at family functions, and they can't say shit to me, because they'll just be like, oh, that's Stainy. He's old. That's Unc. He paid his dues. Fucking Rudy Giuliani is 36 years my senior. That's like double my life.
Right.
Like, I can't imagine at 36 me getting up and being like, I'm gonna champion this cause. I promise you, at 76, all I want is to fucking get drunk, get high. Hopefully, if I own a massive yacht, have all of my younger friends and their children come and party on my fucking boat, and just be like, yo, that guy Stainy, he knows how to throw a good party, man. That's fucking great. Like, you think I'm gonna be like, who's president? I want to defend him in court.
Never.
I'm 76.
I know.
I'm 11 years removed from retirement. Like, I don't know. I think this is some narcissistic shit, though.
It is. But I think it's given us a very strong lesson. So the last point that I want to make is, where do we go from here? What does this tell us? Everything that we've told you about Rudy Giuliani, everything that we've mentioned about our justice system, how he helped to implement it in an inequitable manner, how it's come back, the chickens have come home to roost, and he's now a victim of the same system. There's two possibilities. Rudy's innocent or Rudy's guilty. So if Rudy is innocent, then he's admitting the justice system is corruptible. People can get arrested, detained, and searched with no evidence, exactly as he did when he was the U.S. attorney for SDNY. So if you think Rudy's innocent and he's getting a raw deal, then never again, if you're listening to this and if you're in this camp, never again can you ignore a person of color saying that the justice is not applied equally in our country. They've said it. You ignored it. Now you must recognize that it happens if you think that Rudy's innocent. On the flip side of that, if Rudy's guilty, and he very well may be, then you have to understand that what he's doing here is that he wants to introduce more flaws into the system so that the justice is still not equally applied, and it would allow guilty people to not be investigated or searched. So if you think the justice is currently applied equally, but you think that Rudy got a raw deal, then you're actually requesting that our system of justice play favorites and ignore all indications of guilt just because you like the person. Those are our two possibilities, and that's what we need to sort out going forward.
All right. Well, I think we spent enough time on this fucking crazy kook. Beth, if you can, tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you can because you're not drunk like I am. How these people can reach us and get in touch with us.
All right. So on Twitch, we are at Mixed Politics. On YouTube, if you search Mixed Politics, you'll find us there as well. Facebook and Instagram, mixed.politics. Twitter is at mixedpolitics1. And you could also send us an email at mixedpoliticspod@gmail.com. And we also have a Patreon, which Stainy always does a good job telling us about.
I don't know if it's a good job, but it's done. We have a Patreon where we solicit things from you, and we also give back to you, whether it's merch, studio time with us, early access to the podcast a day early, bonus footage, that stuff that we talk about after we stop recording here and then start recording another after we get drunk with each other and just be like, what the fuck is wrong with Rudy? You know, and we actually give you the stuff that we can't really say on public air because we probably Beth will get fired from her job. I own my own business, so I don't give a shit. But all of those things happen at patreon.com/mixedpolitics, and you can go there. We had a raffle recently. Princess Alyssa won, and she posted her wonderful hoodie. You can get one of those. You can buy merch if you go to our Instagram page, or if you are part of the Patreon, there's a link there too where you can get merch. Or if you are a specific tier of our Patreon or patron, then merch will be sent to you, whether it's a hoodie or shirt or whatever, and other things. So, but we appreciate that. The people who have subscribed to our Patreon, you are paying for a subscription to make this happen through Riverside or through Captivate FM, and we appreciate you dearly, and we thank you for the support. We hope that you continue, and we hope that you continue to like this program, that we keep you informed, and we keep telling you things, and you know, let us know what you want to know.
Yes, we're also up for suggestions. So if you ever come across a topic that you want us to cover because you're dying to hear what we have to say about it, then send us an email, tag us on Instagram or Facebook at anything. Let us know what you want to have us talk about.
Sounds
and also
good.
Be sure to subscribe to us at any of those platforms, including our audio podcast. But give us a rating, because we want to see some ratings out there for our podcast, and you know that helps to get us noticed a little bit too. And hopefully Stainy will not be dumping his drink anymore.
Damn it. All right, let's call it a night. Let's cheers these people who've been with us for the long haul.
To our analysts, pundits and experts.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.